Good evening, everybody. Justin Publon here with WisconsinWX.com. It's 10:04 p.m. Central Time here on December 22nd, 2020. We have a winter storm developing for northwest Wisconsin. I'm looking at probably the heaviest snow at this time from somewhere along an axis from Minneapolis to Duluth. We'll talk about all this in detail. But also, there's several other things we'll be watching. The wind gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour. Across Wisconsin, it's going to be windier in Minnesota up to 50, if not 60 miles per hour, far western side of Minnesota. But also, moving into Thursday morning, wind chills dipping into the single digits below zero, if not double digits below zero, especially further northwest where there's fresh snow. So let's get into this. Right now, here's a regional look at the warnings and watches. One thing you want to note is all the blizzard watches out here, a blizzard warning. This is a big deal. I mean, this area is prone whenever there's a winter storm, tends to get pretty windy, and the blizzard does come maybe once or twice a year. But yes, you're seeing this over a large area over here. In Wisconsin, though, right now, still, we're looking at a winter storm watch across, basically in the region of Hayward, Wisconsin, from Duluth south that way. And then there's a winter storm advisory or winter weather advisory just north of La Crosse, kind of over to Wausau, but probably not into Wausau itself. But generally that region, they're from Eau Claire over to Minneapolis. But Minneapolis specifically looks like it might be an area that gets hit pretty hard with the snow here Wednesday p.m. into very early Thursday morning. A little bit of a closer look there, taking my circle off. Just already went through that pretty well. Just taking a look at the winter storm watch information for northwest Wisconsin. And the National Weather Service here has a lot of information in here. And it's kind of hard to figure out exactly what they're talking about. But in general, it doesn't look like much fun if you don't like weather. I love extreme storms. I feel like I'm built for the storm more than I'm built for the calm. So this is kind of feels at home to me. And it sounds like, all right, this sounds like my kind of thing right here. So if you're looking for a storm, especially there from Minneapolis to Duluth, I think you're going to have a pretty decent one here coming up Wednesday night. But yeah, it's hard to read this in this format. But basically, the reason I say that is it's like total storm accumulation will range from 5 to 9 inches locally across east central Minnesota. Okay, but that's not where the watch here shows it. So anyways, I have this out of order a little bit, but here's the temperature forecast in the system here. And actually, we're just going to shove that back a little bit because I don't want to talk about that just yet. What I want to talk about is a large-scale pattern here. Now, this is eye candy. This is really awesome stuff. This gets me giddy. When you look at this upper-level trough, so here's a 500 millibar. Look at this trough right here. Okay, it's that's a positive tilt trough at that moment right there, but you can see there's a lot of energy coming in the backside here. The streak that's going to work down through here. You can tell it's going to intensify, and sure as heck it does intensify. And as we go to about, let's see, this is 9 a.m. on Thursday morning. Look at how beefy this upper level trough is. This is really good. Again, the storm by this point that we're talking about has moved off a little bit by this point. But this is really the big, higher level, big picture stuff that you're seeing here. And this is a big deal. This is a big time stuff. And you even get another system that fires up off of that. So if you think this is here on Thursday morning, I think that's pretty sweet. Look at what it does there by Friday. I mean, that's just a powerhouse upper level trough. By that point, now it's negative tilt, okay? So it goes from this positive tilt over here, see that? Boom, to a negative tilt by the time you get to Friday, this huge upper level trough. So that's what we're dealing with up in the sky, way up there. The jet stream energy that basically drives and feeds the system. Now, if we look at the latest GFS here, and we're on weather.ca.edu. I like this website mainly just because it helps me go back and forth really quickly to see. Now, so this model, the GFS, and I haven't been watching it as closely as I probably should have, but what I thought it was going to happen is, in the context of Wisconsin, right, because I'm focusing mainly on Wisconsin here, and I thought we were going to get dry slotted with, yes, this is a pretty awesome cold front here coming in. But for the most part, what are the measurables besides the wind? And I don't know. I wasn't too convinced. But if you look at this low pressure system right in here, man, that's really compact and tight. And with the context you have of the upper level pattern, yeah, that's something to watch for sure. And then as I go into let's see, this is Wednesday at 6 p.m. And you're seeing that the snow is really going through. That low pressure system moved past Minneapolis, and now it's kind of centered more towards Marquette at 6 p.m. on Wednesday. But as you go through the evening, it dies off. And even by, perhaps as early as 12 a.m. on Thursday morning, it's mostly done with in terms of the accumulation. 12 a.m. Thursday morning, hopefully. Now, in Wisconsin, at that point, you'd still have the wind. But we'll go into more detail on that. And maybe even a little bit of a dusting or slight accumulation across the rest of Wisconsin. But just to keep going with this, remember that low pressure, so the upper level pattern that was driving this, see what it blows up then across the Appalachian region here off the East Coast, not on the East Coast, Eastern United States. I mean, it moves fast. And I think that part of the thing is it doesn't have time to settle in or really develop or deepen in place. It more like moves it off really fast in that really fast upper level flow. So, but what we're going to be focusing in on is this segment right here, because that looks like a winter storm, my friends. Okay. All right, I picked it up here too. Okay, so watch this. You see the 992 millibar low here, and it's off in southern Dakota, which is kind of a strange place for it to be at this time frame if you're thinking about how this is all going to work out. And then it moves into northern Iowa. Maybe not the center, but the majority of it seems to be in northern Iowa. So low moves down. It's moving southeastward. And then as we go into Wednesday night, it ejects off through, looks like maybe like Rochester up through Eau Claire, and then perhaps over to Marquette. So that's kind of an interesting bowl-shaped recurving pattern there for the low track. And as it does that, it deepens. Okay, it goes from 993 on the this is the NAM. So it goes from 993 millibar down to 989 thereabouts, 989. So it's strengthening, and in that you're also seeing a tightening of the isobars here on the western side of the low pressure system, right in here. So you're getting the blizzard type kind of winds coming in on the backside in addition to the snow. So you have the blizzard warning out here, which makes sense, and maybe the snow totals won't be as good as they will be in here, but somewhere in between, you're probably going to have that extended eastward if the wind comes in on that. But you're seeing there at, that looks like about 4 p.m. on Wednesday, really coming down. I mean, that's probably going to be heavy snow in this zone here somewhere in there with winds really pulling through. So it's going to be a pretty nasty one there for a little bit. As we go towards 6 p.m., you're seeing the snow continues with the low pressure system starting to slide off. And things start to weaken, yes, by about midnight. On the NAM, it looks like it's a little bit slower, a little bit later on the end time. But the GFS is quicker, so this is something for you to know. But certainly by about 4 a.m., really coming to an end. Maybe some snow showers throughout the rest of Wisconsin. Who knows what that amounts to, but probably not a lot. Okay. Here's snowfall amounts, and I'm going to show you a lot of models here, and I hope you can kind of follow along. I just want you to kind of get a feel for things. And I guess when I was looking at the latest run, so the 18Z, and I'll show you this trend, but things have been like escalating. It's not like it's weakening by any means or staying the same. It's intensifying as we go through the forecast period, which is interesting to me. And then this latest 000 run, the absolute latest. I mean, it's 10:13 p.m. right now here Central Time. The latest model run is really quite snowy across this region. Now, I'm not sure how much I want to go towards 18 inches of snow or even 19 or 20 inches up near Duluth. I'm not sure I want to go there yet, okay? But let's take a step back, and also let's look at some of the other models, what they're showing. This is a high-res, let's see, HRRR. I call it the HRR. I don't know what the technical term is for it, but it's kind of in that same genre, right? It's similar. I mean, it has amounts that are above a foot, kind of in the same area, so that's kind of interesting. Some of these other short-range models, HRW. Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, that's actually quite surprising if you compare it to what the GFS was showing a day ago. Wow. And then in NMB, wow, okay, yeah, more reds in there, so it's up near a foot in some areas. Now I've shown you 4 models that seem to support that, okay? So I'm not coming up with this out of nowhere. This isn't hype. This is just what the models seem to be showing on this latest model run. Up near a foot of snow there from Minneapolis up to Duluth. NSSL, wow, okay, so all these short-range models and they often tend to be similar. They're never really that different from each other. So I don't know. The short range models collectively seem to point to yeah, pretty heavy snowfall from right across eastern Minnesota up through northwest Wisconsin, and even into, I mean, really off the Lake Superior shoreline in upper Michigan. The NAM, however, is a little bit not as snowy. This is the lower resolution NAM. Higher resolution NAM, not as snowy as those short range models. And actually, when I went through and did my forecast, I kind of modeled my prediction off of the NAM. It is the more conservative model at this stage on this model run, because if you compare it to the GFS and the NAM, so this is the NAM, this is the GFS. So I'm comfortable with the NAM because it gets us halfway there. And if we need to make another update tomorrow and really boost totals up, we can do that. Okay. So yeah, where are you seeing the heaviest snow amounts? Right here. Okay. Right through this zone, as I've been mentioning. Not so much in here. Okay. So yes, snow. Yeah. And maybe 1 to 3 inches here from Eau Claire up to, what's that, Eagle River area. Would not surprise me one bit, but really you're seeing a pretty sharp gradient in here. And that's probably going to depend on where the heaviest snow bands tend to park as that low pressure moves like this, right? Where is that band going to set up? That's what that's showing. Okay. Now that's out of order again. Okay, this is going to show you. This is really important to know, okay, because this is the way I look at it. And this is why my confidence is not as high. The reason I wouldn't be going towards those higher end amounts just yet. Look at some of these previous runs for that time frame for this storm. Had the heaviest snows off into northern Minnesota, okay, with not a whole lot going on in Wisconsin. Yeah, maybe some higher amounts up several inches, maybe 5 to 6 at this time. So this is a couple days ago. This is what the model looked like. Now, if we go through each model run, it's progressively getting colder and further east and snowier, okay? So this is not a good long-term trend in terms of consistency. This is what lowers the confidence. However, if you were just going based on trend, you'd be feeling pretty good now if you live in Minneapolis for the snow chances here. Whereas maybe earlier you weren't, you were kind of on edge. Maybe you're feeling a lot better about that now for the storm system. This is the GFS. I have the European, I believe, here. And this is contaminated a little bit with other things going on in the forecast period because there was snow last night, I believe. But this one is not as aggressive. It's also at a 10 to 1. I just want to double check that I'm on the right model here. Yes, European. This is from earlier today. But what you're looking at mainly is the zone of heaviest accumulations, kind of up through the same area. Okay, maybe the magnitude's not quite there, but the axis is. Okay. So now I've just shown you several models that kind of support that kind of idea. Here's my forecast, and I've zeroed in. I'm just going to show you northern Wisconsin and parts of Minnesota and upper Michigan. I'm playing it conservative. As I said, I'm kind of going with that NAM route. We can always boost them up later, but 6 to 12 inches for Minneapolis, 6 to 12 Duluth. There, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a foot of snow somewhere with this system. Where exactly that ends up being relative to Minneapolis, is it going to be on an axis, as I mentioned, or is it going to be further west or just slightly east of there? Probably more likely west or on top of it. For the rest of Wisconsin here, basically northwest of Eau Claire to a Rhinelander, 1 to 3 inches. You see I have that 3 to 6 inch zone pretty narrow. So Hayward, you're kind of teetering on the edge there, whereas I think Duluth is more likely to see the heavier snow relative to Hayward. And then the rest of Wisconsin, I only have a little bit there, 0 to 1 inch. I mean, it may amount to nothing. It may snow and just melt. So, there's several things that could go on there. But all together, little to no impact for most of Wisconsin regarding the snow front. The other end of this is the wind and the cold, okay, because you're going to see a pretty strong cold front move through. Here's the NAM. This is high resolution NAM showing you what you're seeing here is at the bottom end of this concentric circles is where the low pressure system is here. This is the center, and it's going to move like this, right? And that kind of, what is it called? Concave curvature recurving up north like that. When it does that, it's going to swing a cold front around. You can see the cold front really punching in here, and then it's going to sweep. It expands out from there, and it just blasts this area of Wisconsin, and you're seeing that low pressure. Down to 988 millibar here for the surface pressure, and then the cold front pushing through. That's really, really cool looking. Really cool looking. And then, no pun intended, because it is going to get cold. But here by about, let me go back to see it. No, this is about 10. I think this is actually 8 p.m. on Wednesday. That cold front, you're seeing the freezing line is pushing well through Wisconsin by that point. With these pink colors, are much colder, obviously. We'll go take a look at wind chills in a second, but that's showing you single-digit temperatures, not including the wind chill, not including the wind at all. But as we go through the day on Thursday, cools off across Wisconsin. Much colder northwest than east because of this fresh snow cover and that part of it. Let's take a look at the wind. Okay, so that's temperatures, right? Now the wind, we're picking it up here. This is off of windy.com. I have it set at about now, actually. Here we are. You're seeing that low pressure system here in South Dakota. And as we go through time, this is European, and it has this low track a little different than the other models, and that's fine. The point is the overall evolution. But you're seeing wind gusts, 20 to 30 miles per hour through this time period. So from now at 10 p.m. Tuesday all the way through Wednesday morning, you're probably going to see, gusts to 20 to 30 miles per hour here in Wisconsin. But as that low pressure system moves in, where you are, if you're next to this low, underneath it, it tends to be a little bit quieter because the wind is not rushing anywhere. That's kind of where the low pressure system is. Relatively speaking, now if you drop that pin in southern Wisconsin, wind gusts up to 34 miles per hour. And if you look out in western Minnesota, 50 to 60 probably out there already here at noon hour tomorrow. And as we go, so this is the afternoon, 3 p.m. Wednesday. You're seeing now that as that low pressure system kicks through, the wind gusts really intensify here across northwest Wisconsin, and it stays strong across southern Wisconsin. So I have my forecast of about 30 to 40 miles per hour wind gusts. Sustained winds could be probably in that 30 mile per hour range. It wouldn't surprise me, especially up in here where I think that it's going to really pull through. In addition to the snowfall, okay, so at 6 p.m. when it's probably still snowing but coming to sort of an end here across northwest Wisconsin, you have wind gusts in that 40 mile per hour range. So you could be dealing with near blizzard-like conditions from Minneapolis to Duluth and areas along that axis. I'm going to take a look at the wind chill factor at 6 a.m. on Thursday. So after the storm has passed and the winds push through and you get this fresh snow cover and the cold front is through and temperatures have bottomed out, you could be looking at wind chills in the negative 20 to negative 30 degree range in Minnesota, in Wisconsin, maybe a little bit colder, maybe a little bit warmer, relatively speaking, from Minnesota, but in that negative 10 to negative 20 degree range, wind chills Thursday morning. So it's going to be pretty cold. You're going to want to bundle up. Thursday morning, is that Christmas Eve morning? Christmas morning, one of the two. And it's something to keep an eye on there. Pretty cold. That's pretty cold. It's going to be the coldest air of the year thus far this season here in this part of the state, this part of the country, of Wisconsin specifically. But the good news is it doesn't last too long, and it's not prolonged. And as this system moves past it, it'll warm up a little bit closer to seasonal averages. I already showed you that. And I showed you that. I'm not sure whether there's doubles of that. I'm sure there's a reason for it. Anyways, I'm going to have this information kind of summarized in the text format on the website here, and you can find that real easily by going to wisconsinvax.com, and it's going to be on that homepage right away. Boom. That's really all I got. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch the system come through. I will try to do an update tomorrow, and they're probably early afternoon hours, but we'll see how it goes. If I feel like the 6 to 12 inch zones are pretty well covered, has the system pretty well covered, then I won't update probably. But if I think we need to do a little bit more, then I will. And we'll go from there. We'll see if there's anything interesting happening and go from there. So thank you for watching. I hope you have a great evening. And I hope if we don't talk to you, I hope you have a great holidays. And I will talk to you soon. Enjoy the storm if you're between Minneapolis and Duluth, or even if you're just in the area. And take her easy. See ya.